Well, we have our 70th anniversary edition Corvette here, as Rob was beginning to say, and our friends from Team Chevrolet. Thank you very much for being part of Corvettes at Carlisle, presented by eBay Motors. Cheers to 40 years, and thank you for being here as part of this special event. You know, year in and year out, we have great presenting partners, and for the Corvette world this year, eBay Motors has come on board. They support a couple of our other events, but their partnership with the Corvette show is all new in 2022. So visit ebaymotors.com if you're looking to do any of your shopping. And I hear that they have about 122 million parts for you to choose from. I might have heard that in a commercial somewhere. So eBay Motors, presenting sponsor, give them your time as they have given us the attention as well. So you've given the Team Chevrolet folks a lot of attention. Their tent, it has been packed. The autograph session was packed as well. I think we had to pull those guys out of there. There were so many people hanging out and waiting. And now we have a quartet of experts who have made it here to Carlisle. Harlan Charles, Taj Juckner, we have Kirk Benyon, and Josh Holder. I usually keep my phone with my notes, and the phone is in the office. So today I had to have everybody keep their name tags out so that I could sound smart. But these guys come here year in and year out, and they love talking to you about the car. Yesterday they brought this car to the stage and probably hung out for at least another half hour to 45 minutes after the fact to talk to you and answer questions. So I'm going to hand the microphone over to these gentlemen, and they're going to tell you all about this beautiful Z06 70th. First of all, Taj, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thanks.
Welcome back.
Thank you, it's great to be here.
So what is your impression of Corvettes at Carlisle 2022 so far?
It's bringing back a lot of fond memories. Obviously, we've supported this event for decades, and it always has a great feel to it, a great energy to it. We bring out our latest stuff. You know, we drive the latest stuff from Michigan to here, so it's a really nice drive for us, and then we bring whatever the latest and greatest Corvette stuff is, and we love to share with everybody. Love to get their input, you know, on both the new stuff we're bringing out, as well as the cars they own already, what they like about them, what they'd like us to do in the future, and so this is just a fantastic venue for all that.
So of course these cars turn heads when they're here at Corvettes at Carlisle, but do you see the heads turning when you're on the highway when you're coming from Michigan?
Kinda, yes. Ever since the C8 came out, it's been a rock star. Whenever you get gas, you say it's a super fast car, but you don't get anywhere fast because everybody wants to talk to you about it. Whenever you stop, or people actually wave you down, they want you to pull over and stop and talk to them. Had that
Citizens inquiry.
Yes, and they're hanging out the window, they're taking pictures. So even though we've done 20, 21, 22, and we're now making 2023, it still feels really fresh, it feels new. And of course we got the Z06 now, which actually is really, really new. And so it's exciting. It's starting the whole cycle over again.
Well, very cool. We welcome you back. And Harlan, I said it yesterday, you are an ageless wonder, man. You've been coming here forever. You still look today the same as I remember 10 years ago, and it's always great to have you.
Thanks, and again, everybody knows Corvette keeps you young, so that's what we're all about.
Josh is, I'm going to guess, the young guy of the group, literally and figuratively. Josh, what are your impressions of Corvettes at Carlisle so far?
Well, it's great. I've been coming to Carlisle almost as long as these guys have, and it's always a good time to get in front of the customers that we all do this for, get their feedback. We get to feel like rock stars for a little while, but certainly their feedback. We're the most accessible product team, at least we like to claim, and I believe that to be true. And all of your input makes the Corvette better, so thank you for that.
And Kirk, you sat through, I believe you were in the autograph session. What kind of feedback did you hear from the folks as they were coming through, getting the autograph of you and your teammates and coworkers?
Well, I will tell you, we talked to a lot of enthusiastic people today, and with a lot of input for the car, a lot of things that they like, giving us suggestions for future car stuff. It's all good.
Fact or fiction, I heard from one of your team members that while you guys are out here working all day long, at the end of the day, you still have to go back to the hotel and do actual work. Like, this is fun work, and then you go do day job work. Is that true? Well, let's let them have fun, okay? Knowing that they have to go to the office and log in remote and do whatever. We want to have them have some fun here. We'll let Harlan, Taj, and everyone talk about the beautiful 70th anniversary car. Gentlemen?
Okay, we'll talk about more than that. More. You always get more than you expect here at Carlisle. And so We are super happy to be back and seeing everybody here. It's been a few years since I stood in front of this grandstand, so it's probably the biggest live audience we see anywhere in the world when we do our presentations. Is this one right here. And we're emerging from kind of the COVID coma where we were all locked down, unable to get out and be with customers at Corvette events around the world. You know, that's opening now, and so we're supporting a lot of events, and it's refreshing for us on the team to finally be able to get out there and do that. We haven't been not working. We've been working really hard the whole time, right through COVID, getting the Stingray into production, keeping it in, improving it constantly, and ultimately continuing and bringing out the Z06, which I think it was the first day when, at the reveal, long time ago, when we first showed the C8, I think the very first question from the audience was, when's the Z06 coming out? And it's always that way. It's whatever you have lasts like 2 minutes, and then somebody wants to know what's next. This is what's next, right here. So we've been working really hard, really around the clock. The folks at Bowling Green, unfortunately, a lot of them couldn't be here. They really wanted to come. They've got their hands full completely. Everybody knows what's going on, I think, in manufacturing. Integrated Circuits gets the headlines on part shortages, but it goes way, way deeper than that. It is so hard to get a lot of the basic things that you need to build a car. And Corvette has a lot of boutique suppliers, smaller companies, manufacturers all around the world. And so they are also impacted by the ramifications of COVID and supply shortfalls and pipeline going dry. And it's astonishing, really, to see the kind of effort it's taken to get the material, to get the suppliers up and running, get the stuff we need to keep Bowling Green running. And honestly, they've done a phenomenal job. Even though we would have loved to produce more cars, the Stingray's still really, really hot. Bowling Green has done an unbelievable job getting every single car they could get built. And you guys know some of the stuff that's happened. Tornado ripped 4,000 square feet of the plant roof off. Rain came in. We had to scrap 120 cars, something like that. And there's this big debate internally. They're not that bad. They're just a little wet. They'll be fine. And no, we weren't going to do that. We weren't going to have somebody potentially have a car that had been, even if it's just like water spots on the interior. Nope. There's a chance, maybe some watering out some wiring or whatever. So no, we had to essentially just push those cars out of the way, start over again, build those customers' cars from scratch. So you name it, something has happened to interrupt our production. But we are here for you, and we have us four talking today, but we've got a lot of other folks from the team here. You'll see some people in blue shirts. They got a Corvette insignia on them. Chances are that's one of our Corvette team. And so, well, not everybody, but there's a lot of people here to answer questions and talk to you about anything you want to hear about Corvette. So anyway, I'm kind of droning on, so I'm going to let us sort of get into the meat of it. We want to talk to you about 2023 in its entirety, maybe a look back at what's been happening the first few years, and then spend some serious walk-around time around the Z06. The Z06 we introduced last fall, so it seems like forever since we did the reveal. We did it earlier than we usually do, quite intentionally, because this car has such powerful aerodynamics, we couldn't do our final validation with camouflage on. So we have to take the camo off to do our final track validation, whether it's here in the US at PR, Nürburgring, all around the world. You can't really run with camo because the aerodynamics are so sensitive on this car. So we had to reveal it early. The look of the car is just one aspect of it, and we're going to talk a lot more about the rest of the details. So enough for me for now. Let's let Harlan talk a little bit from the marketing side, then we'll let Josh and Kirk talk as well. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. First, there's a couple things I want to partially brag about and partially thank everybody for. Number one is, of course, the Corvette is the #1 car in the luxury sports segment, and actually 50% market share in that segment, which means more people are buying Corvettes than all the other sports cars put together. So thanks to all of you who have Corvettes and making Corvette #1. And so that's a place where we win, and then we have the 2 manufacturers championships on the C8R racetrack. And then additionally, We also won J.D. Power Platinum Award, best quality of any model in the industry. So that's not just the best sports car, that's the best of any car and truck. We have the best quality score of anybody in the market. And so all your friends who have Porsches or Mercedes or Lexus, whatever they have, they want to upgrade their quality, they need to move to Corvette and move to Made in America. So we're all proud of that, and it's an incredible achievement. And like Taj said, this is the 2023 Z06. And the Z06 has a great history with Corvette. It goes back to 1963. Resort August Dunto created an RPO code Z06 for a special track package for high-performance customers. And we brought that back in the 5th generation in 2001, and it really became popular and became known as the closest Corvette production to the racing, to the race car that you can get to drive on the street. And we used that proof point of racing technology for the street going forward. 6th generation, we added the 7-liter, 505 horsepower, aluminum frame, carbon fiber components. The 7th generation, the car became so popular with Z06, people started wanting the other options. We made it available in both coupe with removable roof and convertibles with both transmissions. We had a supercharged 650 horsepower. But now for 2023, based on the new mid-engine architecture, we're able to achieve the ultimate Z06. This has the highest naturally aspirated horsepower of any V8 ever in production at 670 horsepower. 8,600 RPM redline, flat plane frame.
And mark my words, it will be the highest in all of history, this car right here.
And it's probably also the best sounding Corvette in history too, if you guys have heard it walk in. So I'm going to turn it over to Josh to give you some more Z06 engineering background.
Thanks, Harlan. Of course, you know, when we were here last year, we were about to reveal the Z06, and I think I mentioned this yesterday. We were sort of at the talking about it stages. A lot has happened since then. A lot of you have read about the Z06 and what a technical marvel it is, what a privilege it is for us to work on and make that next evolutionary leap in Corvette performance. Of course, you notice the aggressive stance of the Z06, but that's not just to make it look cool. It's really all about the big wide tires, the track width. The rear tire, it's a 21-inch wheel, 345 millimeter tire, and for those that can't convert, that's roughly 13 inches. Massive tire to put that power to the ground that Harlan was talking about. That 670 horsepower doesn't really help if you can't connect it to the ground. And that's been one of the big benefits with the 8th generation Corvette. We knew from the outset that we were going to do the Z06 as part of the 8th generation Corvette, and that's where this architecture really shines, when you can put big power down to the ground with that big tire. It just makes the Z06 the all-out performance machine. We've got some increased cooling to go with that flat plane crank titanium connecting rod masterpiece. We added a front center radiator and an extra radiator in the quarter panel openings, which obviously are wider to cover the tire, but also make a bigger opening for increased airflow. So we've made this car as bulletproof as we can on the track. All track Corvettes go through a very severe durability test. We call it our 24-hour track test. But it's basically continuous lapping with our best drivers, and we have some awesome drivers that can put the car through its paces for 24 straight hours. And if something goes wrong, we'll stop and fix the problem, and we start it all over again. So it's not just 24 cumulative hours, it's a lot of time, a lot of track duty work on the Z06. To help stop all that performance, we're offering the largest brake that we've ever done on a Z06 on a Corvette. So the available carbon ceramic brakes, the front rotors are a little over 15.5 inches. So very massive brakes, great stopping power. This car has our new forged aluminum wheel, so it's a lightweight, high-performance aluminum wheel. But I forgot to mention yesterday, since there wasn't a visual cue in front of me, that we have an available carbon fiber wheel. It's the largest in width. I talked about 13 inches wide. It's the largest carbon wheel that's ever been produced. and the combined package saves 41 pounds of unsprung mass. And obviously mass is important in any sports car. We at Corvette take it very, very seriously. But unsprung rotational mass is the most valuable. And we've noticed a lap time improvement just changing the wheels on our own Milford road course. So it's that impactful, and you don't need to drive it on a track. You can feel the change in responsiveness for just after a short time on the car. So we've tailored the chassis around the tires. The Z07 comes with a Michelin Performance Cup 2 tire. So again, yesterday we talked a little about race and technology transfer with the race team. That tire was developed with the same engineers that work on the race car. The engine, if you want to see more of it, is in our tent. We have a cutaway. It's a really cool piece. A number of us are happy to stand around and we can do a whole seminar just on the engine. But you'll notice parts of that engine that are literally shared with the race car. We traded parts with each other through the development of the Z06 and the C8R together. So this really is a race car for the street. It's all about performance, and we can't wait for people to get behind the wheel and experience it.
Thanks, Josh. Awesome job. We'll have Kirk talk a little bit about the Aero, but just following up on a couple things Josh said. This engine, 100% of them are built in Bowling Green, in the Bowling Green facility. So the Performance Built Center there, hand-built engines, and every single one of them gets a hot test cross town, like a dyno type test, a dyno pull, to make sure that everything is put together perfectly, the engine is operating exactly as we expect, and so as it goes in the car, we're super confident that it's going to perform. So Josh also mentioned the kind of bulletproof on track aspect of that. A lot of what you see here is very functional. When you look at the quarter inlets, Kirk may talk about this more, there's a lot more airflow in addition to the coolers that we have, and we actually even upgraded the air conditioning compressor, because now the way we test cars, we test them all the way up to 100 degrees, worst tracks in the world, hottest ambient, 100 degrees Fahrenheit with the air conditioning on, and we want to make sure that the car is absolutely bulletproof there. We were commenting, driving across on a really hot day all the way across Pennsylvania, engine oil temp 170 degrees, it stays really, really cool. The car just shrugs off heat way better than we do standing up here. So we're very, very proud of that. We think it's going to be an excellent tool for people who love to track their cars and actually run hard. So we think we've really kind of hit it out of the park on this one in terms of what it's like, the accessible performance. Josh talks about, you know, the tuning. It isn't just a numbers car where it can corner better than any Corvette we've ever had, but it's easier, it's more accessible than any one we've ever had, and by a long measure. So I expect when we finally give journalists a chance to drive this car, so even though we revealed it last November, we haven't let them actually drive the car on a track or drive it seriously. We're going to do that at the end of September, and so then you'll get true third-party endorsement of the usual kind. And I predict that they're going to be extremely happy with both the absolute performance of the car as well as how easy it is to drive at the limit. So they will get to very high levels of performance relatively quickly. And a huge chunk of that, more so than any Corvette we've ever done before, is in aerodynamics. That's a big story around this car. We pride ourselves on form and function going together. We've been partnered with Kirk for 3 generations of car, maybe more, and that whole synergy between how it looks and how it works comes together in the aero space, probably more than anywhere else in the car. And there's no better person, honestly, to talk about it than Kirk. He spends a lot of time in the wind tunnel, one of the few guys who's got the aesthetic chops to work in the studio, and the technical chops to work in the wind tunnel, and the driving chops to be a race instructor. Very rare. So, Kirk, I set you up now.
All right, thanks, Dad. So our Z06 here, this is sporting our most aggressive aero package we've put on a Corvette. You can see by the wing, it's low in the center. We do that for our optimal vision out the back. It's high on the end because this is our cleanest air. You also notice we get an all-new rear fascia back here. There are vents down here. We want to get as much air out from under the car as possible. And not to mention, not to forget our favorite option here, but center exhaust. You know, that was a bit of a science project for us to be able to tune that. Also new for the Z06 are these quarter panels. These quarter panels make the car about 3.5 inches wider. So new fascia, new quarter, new boomerang, and we still, of course, we hide our door handle here. just like we did on Stingray. New front fender, makes the car about 2 inches wider in the front. Dive plane and front splitter finish off our aero package to bring us to 650 pounds of downforce at 300 kph. So here again, this is our most aggressive aero package. It also brings about our most aggressive change in exterior content. Not to forget the front fascia, because that's new, and the grill in front is all new. So getting both front and rear new to the car, wider car, this makes for a very impactful change for the Z06.
Nice. Thanks, Kirk. So this really is not a numbers car. We never intended to be. It was always intended to be the most pure expression of track and driver capability. That's what we were thinking about. But the numbers are pretty good. You heard 670 horsepower. That's very, very impressive. We published it before, but 0 to 60 on this car is 2.6 seconds. So honestly, when we broke 3 seconds on the Stingray, we were a little worried because this car isn't a drag racer per se. We're a little bit worried, but it pulls like crazy. It launches great. It's got the big wide tire patches in the back. So 0 to 60 of 2.6 seconds. And we haven't really talked about it. In fact, we hadn't even done our testing at reveal. But the top speed of the car is 195 miles an hour, which is pretty good, but it's especially good given the downforce that we have on this car. The lift to drag ratio on this car is the best we've ever done. So you get pretty substantial downforce with reasonable drag, and that lets you run to 195 miles an hour. Quarter mile 10.6, over 130 miles an hour. So even though it's not a numbers car per se, it does very respectably. But where it's really going to shine, I believe, when we put the car out there is in lap track times. That was its reason for being. All the decisions that went into it were all focused on that. And so people who love to track their cars, I think they'll probably set personal records at many tracks driving this car.
Yeah, there's a couple things I wanted to point out on the interior that's specific to Z06. We have a carbon fiber steering wheel for the first time, and we also have a new carbon fiber level 2 package in this car. Basically, almost all the console and doors are wrapped into the instrument panel. I mean, if you want the ultimate carbon fiber interior, this car really has it. And then, you know, this on top of all that, this is the 70th anniversary edition. So we have that available, the Stingray and the Z06. If you haven't come to our tent, you know, our big displays back there, we have both Stingray and Z06 available. And really 70 years of Corvette is really incredible. It actually makes us the oldest running car nameplate in the world. So 70 years of Corvette is really, tells you how Corvette has that staying power to keep going, and I hope to be back here for the 75th and the 100th or whatever. But this car in particular, the 70th anniversary, has 2 specific colors. This is called the Pearl White Tri-Coat. It's the first time we've had a Corvette Tri-Coat paint, thanks to our new paint shop. And we also have this available in Carbon Flash, which is a black metallic. We also have special red stripe wheels, red brakes, and the interior is also unique to the 70th anniversary. It's a ceramic white leather with red stitching and red belts. So we really hope that this is really a great celebration of 70 years. And then there's even something under the hood. It's not what you're probably thinking of when I say under the hood, but I'll show you in a second here. The 70th anniversary even comes with its own luggage, designed specially for it. And there's 2 there. They both fit in the front, and you got a trunk in the rear as well. Grand Tour, exactly. So, I know, last time we started, do you want to start it up? Why don't you start it up? You do this. Everybody always wants us to start it, and you hear it rev up, and I was told not to put the microphone by the exhaust because that breaks the sound system because it's too loud.
It occurs to me, though, we're missing an opportunity here. We should have a button on here that revs the engine, not just starts it, but revs it up, so you can show off to people. Is that a good idea? Just thought of it right now. So, just, you know, we'd love to do Q&A for everybody up here. Our experience has been it's almost impossible with a crowd this size. Yeah, you can rev it up. So we normally love to spend a lot of time doing Q&A, but on a crowd this size, it's really hard to do. But we'll stand up here for a while, and if you've got a question, a burning question you want to answer, you can come talk to us, or like Harlan said, our display tent is right over there, just in a couple aisles down. Lots of people from Team Corvette to answer any questions that you have. And we'll be back tomorrow. If you really enjoyed this show, you'll be bored as hell tomorrow because it'll be almost exactly the same thing. And we'll be tired of doing it, so we'll probably leave some stuff out. But we might come up with something tomorrow, I don't know. But we'll be back tomorrow, and we'll be around all weekend to talk to you guys. So, Harlan, take us away. And Harlan and I were saying on the way over here, this car has almost 0 miles on it. It's not even broken in, and it's spending this entire weekend doing runs up to red line. So we're gonna have to check this one out before we sell it to anybody. Anyway, thanks for listening. Appreciate it.